Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today, hopefully my mic isn't out of whack. For some reason, OBS will do this thing every once in a while where it will just completely change my mic settings. Like for some reason today, my mic was just extremely quiet. So I had to fiddle with literally everything to get it back up to this point. So hopefully it's not bad, but that's beside the point. Today, we're going to go over a topic I've gone over before, but I feel like most people probably haven't seen that video. So I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to also do it in a more structured way, and that is how to solo in Wizard101, the best way to solo in Wizard101, because people want to know, soloing is something that seems difficult, and a lot of people really don't know how to do it, but it legitimately isn't that hard once you get used to it. So let's get into it. First, and this is probably the most important part of the entire thing, is what school are you, right? Because the strategy you're using will differ depending entirely on your school. For example, Death is by far the best school to solo with. There is no exception to that. Death is the best. The reason for that is that you get 50% healbacks from most of your spells, and those 50% healbacks will make it so that you almost never die. It makes it really like if you need health, guess what? Okay, you can just attack the enemy a little bit early and potentially attack again, but this time you have more health to deal with, right? You can do that and you can constantly regain health. It's important. Certain schools you're going to need to change up your strategy for, right? Because as, say, an ice wizard, you may not be doing nearly as much damage, but you obviously you're still going to have to kill the enemy. So you still need to focus on the damage aspect. But what I'm saying is like on ice, you may use shields and stuff as well. I probably wouldn't, but you can, and that's definitely valid as a strategy. On a life wizard, you may keep heals in your deck to heal more, and that's incredibly valid as well. And the schools like balance, you may struggle a bit more with soloing, but it's still a valid option, is what I'm saying, right? There's different varying levels, but all of them can solo to extreme effect. So let's first go over what you may need for this. So first off, early level, what you're going to want is monstrous treasure cards. If you didn't know, at any level in the game, you can either trade monstrous treasure cards to your, from someone, or you can go buy them. And what they will do is they will put plus 175 damage to every spell. What this means is that, say you are a level 1 fire and you have a fire cat doing from 80 to 120 damage, that fire cat will now do from I think it would be from like 250 to 280 damage, right? And if you don't see why that's good, you're obviously a little bit wacko, because that is fantastic, especially for early game, because that means that on most wizards, most schools, a tier 2 spell will one-shot or almost one-shot every enemy up until, say, maybe Marleybone. Not every enemy, but definitely, I only use tier 2 spells on most wizards that I use enchants with, right up until I get the tier 4 spell, and then I'll use that. So it's definitely a really, really good thing to have, especially at those earlier levels. Now, how do you get it? I would say the easiest way is to get a little bit of money on your wizard and then ask someone to teleport you to the Arcanum. Someone will be willing to. It's really easy, and then you go buy them. You can see they're 250 per. I would say that I use usually around 50 to 100 per world. So say I wanted to buy 50, which you see right here, that's only 12,000. 12,000 is not a lot of gold. You can get that definitely over that by the end of Crocotopia, and even in Wizard City if you do some pretty good farming, and those will last you even further until eventually you can buy more. They are just very, very easy to buy, very easy to use, and pretty good. The only bad thing is that you need to constantly remember to fill your treasure card deck with them, and obviously you might forget every once in a while, but that is that. That is my biggest tip for early game. Early game, this will change everything, and you probably won't have a problem with it again. Now, there's going to be two things I'm going to briefly gloss over and talk about that are important, but I have other videos either covering it or you can figure it out yourself. And that is a proper deck setup, A, and B, what gear you're going to use. Now, what gear you're going to use is usually common knowledge, and I'm sure you can find a ton of guides on it on the internet, but I even have some guides on my channel of different gear to use. But obviously you're going to want to get some of that. Like, even if it's just Senator's gear from Mount Olympus, it's really good and it will up your damage a lot. If you get Zeus gear, even better. If you get Buckingham Palace gear, awesome. If you get Winter Tusk crafted gear or Waterworks gear, you're set until Darkmoor. All of those things are important to get, and realistically, most people, you shouldn't, if you're good enough at the game, you shouldn't need gear right up until level 30, but obviously you want to go get some at the Bazaar just to keep that up. Like, there's been times where I literally haven't worn gear at all until level 25, just because I'm too lazy to go buy it. So that's definitely important to get. And also deck setup, I have a video going more in depth on exactly what you should do, how much you should have in your deck, all that kind of thing. But it's important to note that you want to keep your deck small. I see a ton of people, and this is how everyone used to do it in the past, spam putting like this in their deck, like, oh, Heckhound's cool, Smokescreen's cool, putting all that in their deck. You do not need that. It is a waste of space, a waste of time, and just literally is awful. I can't stress that enough. If you're putting a bunch of stuff in your deck, you are doing it wrong. That's not how you're supposed to do it, because, and this is really important to know, you get 7 cards your first round, right? Say you have one, like, say you have a single Fire Prism in your deck and you're against a Fire Boss and you have a deck full of 60 cards. It is going to be insanely difficult for you to draw that card. The chance of you doing it is very, very low. So please, and I can't stress this enough, make small decks. A rule of thumb I like to say is don't go over 20 cards, like, ever. Like, if you're over 20 cards, you're definitely doing something wrong. Now, I would like to say there's some exceptions to this. Like, if you're going against, like, Malastare and Darkmoor, that's an exception. Or if you're going against a boss that lives a very long time, that's an exception. But, and this is a hefty but, those are fair, like, far and few between, and you generally know when those bosses come up, whether you're going to need more or not. Usually, I literally never change my Fire's boss deck. The only time I've ever really changed my Fire's boss deck is when I go against the Storm Titan, and then I put Heckhound in my deck instead of all these other things. That's literally the only time I do it. But enough on that topic. Let's get into how, like, literally to instantly make the later game easier for soloing. And this one is, like, so easy that it's ridiculous. Okay, I'm actually going to do this because it's faster. For some reason, I have my mount off. It's literally this easy. Trust me. Boom, you go to the Bazaar, and you know what you're going to do at the Bazaar? You're going to walk right up to this, go to amulets, go to usable, sort by level, and you're going to go to the level 50 and get the Jewel of the Faint. It's literally that easy. You may be like, Noah, why are you getting the Jewel of the Faint? Well, it's because Faint stacking is literally the best thing in this game. Every different type of Faint, so you can see this one's plus 75, plus 20, can be stacked. So you have your base Faint, which is plus 70, plus 30. Then you have this Faint, which is plus 75, plus 20. It's also important to note, and I forgot to say this earlier in the video, early game, you want to get Faint as soon as possible on literally every wizard. It'll make boss fights a lot easier. So you can stack this Faint, stack the other Faint. You're getting a plus 75, then a plus 70. I know people in the past have said, like, oh, but that's actually like plus 200 and something. I don't care. Shut up. You're bad. I don't care. Plus 150. That it's easier to visualize it that way. And this will make bosses so much easier. Please know that. Because if you have those 2 feints, you can beat just about any boss solo, especially anything like prior to, say, Azteca. And then in Azteca, you can get Potent Trap, and then guess what you can do? Then you can triple feint stack. In triple feinting, you will literally never not be able to kill the boss. Even on an Ice Wizard with like 60 damage, you should still be able to one-shot every boss while triple feinting. So, there we go. That's the guide to soloing in Wizard 101. It's really, really easy. Like, I can't stress it enough. It's so easy to do this. And these steps alone will make you 100% better at it. Now, it's also important to note that you need to know, like, what spells to use, how to do it. It's all that comes with knowledge of the game and time, right? I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't use. But, like, obviously certain spells are better, right? Like, tier 7 spells, the hit all spells, are easily going to be the best spell in your arsenal. Like, you're going to use those against every boss. And if you don't, you're doing something wrong. It's as simple as that. Boom. That's it for this video. I hope this is useful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I think definitely it was more solid than my last soloing guide. Hopefully you all found it useful too. Definitely is worth it to do some of these steps if you haven't. Like, I can't stress enough how important these are, especially at the low level monstrous one and the late level fainting one. Like, those are the 2 most important things in this game. And if you don't do them, soloing is going to be just that much more difficult for yourself. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed, drop a like, hit the sub button. If you found it useful, also do that. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next. Adios.